All right, so we are recording. This is going to be, is everybody seeing my screen still?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's,
And so we're going to be talking about the hedgehog concept. This is again from Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. And the kind of story behind this. In his book, he talks about a story that I think someone else introduced to him of the hedgehog and the fox. I'm not even sure. I haven't really heard this outside of the book myself, but the hedgehog is often someone that really is focused, or the hedgehog is always focused on one thing in particular, or one or two things, right? It doesn't really step out of that, but stays in that focus. Where the fox is really clever, has all these wonderful ideas, but doesn't know how to apply those ideas. And so, what's the hedgehog concept is if we can just focus on two, three things, get it really nailed down, and master that, we kind of stay in this zone of transformation, where this is where the hedgehog concept actually takes effect, is in this area. Now, if we look at this in the Venn diagram, the three things that we should be kind of working on here is what we're most passionate about. So be thinking of that as we're thinking. What's your passion? For me, it's been permaculture for a very long time, right? I'm super passionate about permaculture. What's your superpower? And Jim Collins refers this to as, what is the thing that you could be the very best at if you're not the best at it already, right? And uh, what is the thing that runs your economic engine or creates a profit for you? And you can think about it in this concept right now, in this moment, in the present, or you can kind of think about it of like, what would be your ideal area here, right? Um, so looking at that, I'm going to share, I did this for my own also. I think it's important to notice that these areas, these spaces that intersect between your passion and your power, there's a unique mechanism, there's a unique way of bringing value to projects that you take on. What does that mean? If I have passion with my power, what does that actually as a unique mechanism? And likewise, if I mix my passion with what drives profit, there's a unique mechanism in there. Something that sets me apart from my competitors, something that sets me apart from other people's work. And what is my mix between my superpower and my economic engine or my profit? And if we can kind of figure those, that starts to gravitate toward that transformation that we're hoping to. So it's helped us uh, envision where we're at right now, and where we want to be, and kind of see where we're out of line in our efforts, right? So right now, Seeds of Dow, our passion is permaculture, and our superpower, it's kind of a passion as well, but it's our entrepreneurial process. We've gone through several startups, Emily and I, and we've done well in some and haven't done well in others. And we've gone through partnerships, and we've played and tested in this round for quite some time. We've been marketers, we've been branders, and so that entrepreneurial process is a superpower that we've kind of gained over time. And it's something that I feel like we can be the very best at, especially in the space of where our passion is. I would say this isn't quite where it is today, but it is where the company itself, a year in, is making money, right? It's in creating learning pathways for people through facilitation like this, or through mentoring, or through what we're creating as an online education platform for people in this space. And so if we can create this intersection and come closer in here, we start to find that transformation. We start to build harmony with the work, and we keep moving forward. And so some of the intersection, put culture and what was the formula, right? Stage. If we highlight it as essential conscious, and maybe I'll tell you what I believe that is. We're all in having an understanding that allows us to attach things together. A lot of Carol is helping organizations come together, right? And just of the consciousness of that. If more and more people do, we can help people to work with each other. to create greater change. And on the entrepreneurial process meeting our learning pathways, we find individual facilitation and finding, because each path is going to be a little different. Seeds of DAO is hoping to be aware of that and helping people to create learning pathways that allow for the entrepreneur, the project owner, the founder of the nonprofit to find their individual path to creating the change they wish to create. So that's our hedgehog concept. And I wanted to, if someone is willing to kind of type in any together.
This is what we're longing to do or what we're doing?
Or your idea. If you were to have a concept, which what changed, right? You could be better at superpower. Passion probably change that much, but the economic engine, right? Like if you're doing a side hustle, what we think you could make profit on, or you made a profit on before, right? So it would be more the ideal.
I'm a newbie into hearing what you'll have.
I'm happy.
Right, I think it too.
Yeah, I mean,
airtime. We can maybe both.
No, that's I would really like to do MPs because I think
Okay.
Wish is awesome and she's doing a lot, so we can see how we can get some focus, right? And this is what it's all about. Is
Cool.
getting some of that focus. So you get this.
Wait, I don't know.
after the
Pass.
50 million pop-ups that they make you go through. What a,
I didn't get any.
like,
Oh, yeah, I can't.
Okay. So what do you what's that? He's good.
Okay. I'm not looking at the screens. Do sign language. I'm looking at the bureau board. But yeah, I think I don't know if there's a better word, intersectional environmentalism. Mental and social justice come together. I think that's what now is what I'm kind of like really doing at the deep depth of what I. Do you want me to write that in?
Yeah, write that in. If you know what it is, that's great.
Oh, I can explain it. Yeah, I didn't know this social media girl. I don't know. She came up the term recently. I thought it's an intersectional like feminism and whatever is when two kind of justice issues or whatever come together because there's other so it just means that like social justice and environmental justice are one, like they're not separate at all. And racism and all of that, like racial justice, it's all together. It's like systems approach. It's basically explaining permaculture and whatever everything else. So yeah.
AMP, have you ever heard the term eco-justice?
Yeah, so it's like similar. I think they're using intersectional environmentalism more for racial, like systemic, issues that are all in green, cannot be separate. So I'm just gonna call it that.
Do you know what?
Yeah, or eco justice.
Before we get any further, because I did skip over yourself, and we do like some brief introductions, so Allison knows the room better. I'm sorry, we forgot to do that, Allison.
It's a good way of doing something, and nice to be able to meet people through them expressing their opinions. This is a great way to get to know you.
Okay, great. Do you want to just say a little bit about what you're doing, Allison, and yourself?
I'm gonna stay away from Marie, and I might kind of listen and watch and take a walk as well.
Okay.
And then I'll, while I'm listening, and then I'll be able to come back and sort of do the same thing.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Go ahead.
Okay, MP, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Are we doing introductions?
No. We're gonna do it after because Allison is really the only one that doesn't know everybody here.
Okay,
right?
perfect. Yeah. My organization's called Refarmers, and we're brand new and doing a bunch of things in East Africa, small scale projects at the moment. And we're just developing a kind of food forest, indigenous collective gardening space in our neighborhood here.
Oh, we did a talk. Awesome.
Yeah, totally. Which is like still in the concept phase. And I still haven't done a MOKR because I'm like lost in the idea still. So, and also really busy because I've got a million things going on. Yeah.
We've got alignment.
Totally. So this is a good way if I can participate like this. This helps to clear things up too. Okay, so where's the Miro? Okay, so yeah, intersectional environmentalism is basically permaculture too. Justice, social. I just really like to focus in our work on the social aspect too, like more, not more, but as much as I love people. And I hate them sometimes too. love
You're
them.
doing it for them, but at the same time, it's hard to work with them sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's just so when you're passionate, it just can easily turn the complete polar opposite sometimes about what you're passionate about. Cool. Okay, so yeah, intersectional environmentalism, equal justice, permaculture, I'll call it that. So then the superpower. So I think so it's supposed to be my superpower.
Your superpower, yeah.
Okay, so I'm like good at mobilizing or community organizing or delegating, I like to call it, but haven't found a word for it. Basically finding all these right people to put together to get these projects on the go, that the people that can do all the things that I can't do, or that
I like the mobilizing. Anybody else have any words for that?
I realize because I love people so much, I like to like hear their stories, and then I'm intuitive, so I can really see how they're gonna work with this person and how it's gonna, and so the team building thing, I feel like that's what I'm coming into the role that I'm playing in all these things that I do. So yeah, so this is non-existent. How I can make money from these.
What is your economic, because it's like here, it's like your hustle, right? That's making you money. Your money comes right here. And we're trying to
in a circle now, but yeah, there's like side hustle, definitely my little gigs here and there that just get me by. So there's that next everything. I could see like an educational like courses that I could do, definitely stuff like that could be, teaching, or I have no idea, but yeah.
So and I see consulting or
Yeah, that's true.
Some of these other areas that might be available to you. But
Yeah.
But thinking about some of those things, what would you say would bring this ease for? I would say that would start attached to the passion area.
Or maybe facilitating like projects, like once I have this one successful project under my belt, I'll also have the confidence to know that, I don't know, it's just at the beginning when you're still experimenting and exploring what you're got. This is all new for me. So I feel like this teams, like something that doesn't really have like, maybe that doesn't exist. Maybe I can make something up like that. A team builder. I mean, that probably does exist, but
so facilitation is a way to do that, if that's something that you would want to work in. I think there's a good amount of profit in there as well. Consulting is one too, but there's also a lot of hours put into that, time and effort that gets put into that, which can reduce your ability to make a profit in there, because you could be making more or less something, right?
that's true.
So just going make sure you consult that you got the right price point, right? And making sure that you're able to charge what you are worth, as well as be able to cover business and personal expenses, and being able to work in that. So I mean, we're talking profit here. It's after everything, right? Or putting profit first and then knowing how much you need to make in order to make a profit, I think is another way to look at it as well.
And so that doesn't be totally separate from what I'm actually passionate about and want to be doing all the time. Like, I don't want to be separate. Like somebody's hiring me to be a facilitator, then I'm not doing the things that we're farmers are supposed to be doing. That's what I just want to stay away from.
So let's talk about farmers, I think, for a second here, because consulting, facilitation, that could very well be from your passion, your power.
Exactly.
What's farmers do, like farmers do to make it? Is it fundraising? Is that going to get your economic income?
I hope not. God. Yeah, that's the thing. And this keeps coming in things we have. And I just can't even think of something like a social enterprise, because that means I'm not doing what I want to be doing. That means I'm hustling and selling something that I make money. I just don't I want to be focusing on this important work, not like selling insects, which is what I thought I could do. Edible insect crickets, and gonna do insects.
So, and then
It's a social enterprise.
It would be definitely kind of putting you in a different place, right? If it's a product that's not really aligned or something that's on the side, but so someone that's very similar to your situation, and I don't know his economic engine quite all the well, but Adam Brock, who's been on the show,
Okay.
who's gone through and done his projects, right? And I think what it was is his economic engine was from donors initially, and it kept him on his projects, right?
Okay.
And so he would find bigger donors and align to donors, which I think is okay to do. But then he's also moved away from that. He's written a book, and he's also he's been traveling and consulting essentially in other people's projects, right? So he's still in his kind of passion and his power where he's best at, because he very much reminds me of like what you're working on and how he's saying his economic engine. And sometimes it's helpful to see some of those and just kind of see in what ways am I different in this. I think, right?
I was thinking at some point it could be a speaker. Far have been asking me to do speaking engagements, and I just can't imagine it's like a great sound. You're like Tony Robbins or something, but maybe it is.
I've worked with a lot of speakers and trainers and influencers doing branding work, and it can be a lot of effort, and you're traveling a lot, and it's something that you would want to do. But I think being an similar to Rock, so other people kind of in that space who want to stay. Anybody else have any suggestions or ideas? Just looking at the chat now.
I'd like to spread a message that I have, because I feel like it's different than what other people are, or just. But I mean, that just takes a while to. Yeah. Okay. What's
different about what you're offering?
Just the ideas around social change. I think just that it's community driven. It's just like a big complex thing that I could go into. We just work with community. I mean, a lot of people are saying, I don't know if you guys went to the Regenerosity event today. It was about Indigenous, I don't know, Lush and Buckminster Fuller Institute have really similar, they're on that wavelength of like the people in the communities. They're the ones, people who are benefiting, the beneficiaries are the one that should be deciding what goes on with money and change within their own communities. And it's those peer-driven social change, those ideas. So
Well, yeah, there's a project in East Africa that I really love and about to tell you about. It's called Grassroots Economics, and they've been creating community currencies for the past 12 years about. And I
know them. Yeah.
Totally. You know them?
No. Yeah. I've heard of it, because I've heard of those alternative currencies and stuff in Kenya. Right.
So yeah, it's in Kenya. So it's an example of any of them in the world, really.
Yeah. I love that idea. Those ideas.
Great model to bring community together that simultaneously create the decision-making process around what the goals are, what we want, what our resources are, and create an economy that's built from that allows us to freely trade and allows community investment pools, and also allows any organization that's investing in a community, whether it's a nonprofit that wants to do whatever watery thing that they want to do wherever in the world, to know to see more visibly how their money is impacting and circling around. So it's an incredible model to spread. And it's something so what I've been working, I mean, I guess I'm just saying it because there's the East Africa thing that you spoke about. And then another friend of mine that is also in Kenya, and she's looking at building food forests in schools.
Nice. Cool.
And so we've been talking about which has been my passion for years, and I'm on a mission to redesign the way that we change high schools. And so my idea for Profit is to deliver professional development and programs for students, but mostly it's professional development, but it's also being able to provide the data for well-being for students who are coming through these programs, and then people who are going through. So like, I guess what was triggering me there is that as you are looking at what it is that you are delivering, to be able to provide that data as an investable opportunity, kind of maybe even blockchain based, because that's where our investment money needs to go, because there's really, really poor, you know, of all the money that we have that needs to grow, supposedly, right? All the wealth that's being siphoned upward into whatever portfolios where people are needing to keep their money safe, they're not invested generally in anything that anybody has any oversight for.
Mm-hmm.
Right, or on, or knows of, and can track the beneficial qualities of that money. And I think that that's a really, that's, I don't know, that's my focus. And I'm just wondering how much anybody who's got a project, right,
Mm-hmm.
that like refarmers, and if you've got I don't know, I'll sit back, but that's where I'm headed. So
I know that's something I really need to look into, the alternative currencies and blockchain. And I'm still like, it's still sort of confusing to me, that whole world, but definitely.
I think even where Allison's just saying, being able to see what is coming from the work that you're doing, right? And so just kind of thinking about some of the things that I've seen you pick up and pick up other people kind of gain interest on as well, as like sack gardening, some of these other the methodologies, and what you could even do is like, we know how to put projects together, right? So you come in and you say, here's a process, and here's how you can come in and help another area. Or you figure out, after you go through these scenarios enough times, and you get through these projects from like technology use. And Allison is kind of sharing that she's using some of her professional as part of what she already does, right? So is there anything that you feel refarmers from you've kind of created would essentially be something that could be creating value for someone else, and that be where you're
I think months. I just can't figure it out.
trust it will happen.
Yeah, I do. That's why I'm
Yeah.
worried about it. But and I do think about it sometimes. Like, I feel like the speaking and the influencer stuff that you're talking about will also come to fruition later once they figure it out. But this is like the very beginning of like figuring out our process and what's working and you know, our impact. And although I just can't really speak about anything. What's the word? Anyway.
I propose another way too. Just one more thing on profit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In general, when we think of we're limited quality of that right now, which can be so destructive. So when we look at a return on investment, and we can get to the point where you say, yeah, these measures for regeneration are a return on your investment, right? And these
Mm-hmm.
measures of community well-being, these measures of more community cohesion or peace between previously, like these are measures that are communicating that. And we should think about that too for ourselves. Like, what are the inflows, and just have
I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, oh, I haven't been able to raise well, I have raised money. I've raised $10,000 on social media, just like on a shoestring week by week, but that too. But also I've roped all these people into this project that doesn't exist. And my partner, my colleague at the neighborhood house, he's like, how did you do that? Like, all these organizations that I think are amazing in the city, I like went to their sites and talked to them, and just like, I was a saleswoman, even though and I realized that when I do the sales pitch, I didn't feel like I was selling anything. But then I was thinking about it. I was like, I actually was like selling this idea that doesn't exist, that I don't even have like paperwork or anything to show, like a document that show. It's all in my head. And I just went there, and I have all these amazing organizations that are on board. Like, they're like ready to go. We just have to like get the official approval. And my colleague was shocked, you know, that I had, so I have gotten, you know, in kind work and already labor and volunteers, they're all ready to go. And I know so that's amazing. And I had never thought of that as like what I had accomplished so far, because it's not like tangible quite yet, but they're all like ready to go. Everybody's like excited. and to have done that without even really having a plan or proposal or that much of a concept was to people. I'm just like, this, I have the idea, you got to trust me that it's going to be what I say it's going to be. And they do, they're trusting. So anyway, so yeah, the profit part has come in ways other than money.
Super impressive.
Thanks.
And I think it is really early, and what we're trying to create here is the ideal, right? So and just kind of a way to see and where we're working at. If we can't come up with a profit right now, that's totally fine. But let's maybe talk about like this piece right here. Like, what is it when we have your passion, your power working together? This might even help us to kind of formalize when we create and maybe and think of Reformers as a whole and the people that you've worked with starting to come together as more than just you now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, Brandon been a big part of it as well. And there's lots of people that are involved in this, right? So you use their passion, their power as well to help you also frame it. But if you what do you think it is?
Can it be like chips? Can that be one, or that part? Like, I feel like the mobilization and the passion of these like strong artists, and that's the only going to change anything. Coming together, working on problems like organizations, especially good organization, and happens a lot. And creating these partnerships that might not happen otherwise. Can that be one?
Yeah, social, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so people are in their bubbles and they don't whole systems which we can't like, garden or the therapy that comes out of gardening or the social won't happen with like mental health or homeless. Like, can't help like work without people who are trained in mental health. You can't all of those people coming together around this food justice. And so creating this whole systems approach with or necessarily directly in like food justice stuff. But so yeah, that kind of idea.
Mm-hmm. And I would say for that being as well, there is plenty of causes and that are trying to move those causes forward. You can have a good donor base with, right? It could be your economic for it needs to be. Like let's not rule that, right?
Exactly.
And I think you're gonna probably find those even as you get your projects going, that's just a natural thing. You're going to start aligning with some of these donors.
Exactly. And it's already happening. A lot of these organizations there's a lot of really that these organizations, indigenous organizations too, a lot of, I'm part of whatever, like special blend. So for the projects, I don't feel like there's going to be a problem. Not my strong to like applying for myself, having to
social here and working out, right?
Yeah, that's what we think together, that together meetings and just, I love that. That's what makes me happy, that I like work when so I don't, it's a feeling to be kind of coming together on its own by putting these people. Yeah, it's different.
And I think this is where it's at right now, right?
Cool. Yeah.
And just noticing that there's some disconnect between your profit and whatnot, and just being aware of it. Ways like really how do we want to do this? We have a lot of side right now, right? A lot of work being in the brand.
So like we could something and easy. Just my old business that I had still like booming. It would be booming. I stopped left over. Like it's so easy, and because we built this foundation of a lot. So I just if it could be that easy, if we could do something else, like just thing that could actually just self, on its own. It's like happening in my other business. So
I think there's also power in that too. Moving the products and market, right? Yeah, doing these projects. And that's here. He's been creating like this, but it's any topic system. I got to look into it a little bit more. But he kind of created this small system that he's used in some projects in another area, right? But then he starts selling other projects. I know something that is an account that you currently have. Someone, they have a product, they have a system or something that they're using currently, and be thinking of this, right? What are some of the things that could be created projects, even in the States or wherever, that could add value to someone else, right? And because you have that being able to take a product to market and have this, you have that skill. This power might change. It might be better with your application.
Exactly. There's now you have like growing seeds, and you think that's profitable, except for one huge company, West Coast Seeds, and
they're Utah-based, actually, or
West Coast Seeds. No,
wait. No, there's a big seed company here in Utah that provides. What is it?
It could be that they don't grow all their seeds. They have a farm. It's like the biggest. There's this other farm co-op, BC Coast Seed Co-op. They're all different farms around it's not very lucrative. You have to do a lot of work. But as a cooperative, it's kind of work, guys have all and our non-executive piloting growing urban that they want to do gardens, growing seed, come do workshops and teach isolate and like there's complicated and it's a city where everyone runs so closely. So but yeah, it could be to have just going somewhere. I just think it's so cool. Yeah, and even though it's I think like that will come along. Other people.
Let's kind of talk about this for a second in a group. Yeah. See, like this one.
Yeah, we should go.
Concept as well. If anybody else wants to try this as well, let's try something else. You can go. Oh, Allison. Allison, were you talking? Because you're around me, but I can hear you.
Still muted.
I said maybe a mute share. Sorry, everybody, mute people. Ray, do you want to go, or does anybody else want to?
Unfortunately, yeah, no, because I'll need to bounce in about 15 minutes, so I don't think I have enough time. It is because I read more about this concept. I think sometimes probably more that Fox. It's like around chasing a lot of different things. But it's interesting to to get these overlaps and those insights into where things overlap. Like publicly and show internal.
More, I have mine, right?
Yeah. But just like having words in general, like I think like is a real mobile mean for people. Just yes, for me, some of these like regenerative, like is getting people understand that word. I just think like from the ways of themselves on wow, that's got to do. Yeah, there's a lot of words in that discussion. Maybe that's just me disconnect from book of stuff, but
it's important it's going to be up to that individual, right? But when you're creating these, especially like MP, when you're this everything and like get into working it out and really share and gaining a better understanding of that
and just keeping in mind that people have lives now. It's not like actually we're trained to like consume. We have to just be more of that. It might not be what we want, but that's the only way we're going to be able to pattern in my thoughts on that.
And especially when we figure out our economic and what that is, really diving into more the data and details of it, right? Like, what is it? So, and this, if you were to put it of your business, and I forget that's Jim Collins did, but and I probably should have looked. Learning path is your like X amount, like X amount. If X amount of learners, we get this amount of profit. And thinking that way, right? So we have learning pathways, and they create, or we have learning pathway, and it creates this profit. We want to create the most. So I think to talk is we have learning pathways and be able to break down. But then here's the power. This is what we can get more. This is that we're passionate about. And we have a superpower for it. And then we brainstorm different ways that we've made money and that we could make money, right? Do this not with yourself. Because now and build this team, I almost bet you could be like go through an exercise, right? To be able to figure out even what other people would make money, which
I think the external view of what you do sometimes is mirror. Farming secrets at the moment, guy's name, and when I pick business names and what's in vacancies is baked bean. And so I think it's only say, what do you think we do, or what do you like with things like would you pay me on your business? Because education is, this is near and dear. Like, do people want to learn? I don't think that. I think maybe something I watching. I think we do that. So I think you wake up, but sure, sometimes I cried. Yesterday, I was talking about this. It's like the worst could ask you like me give you recommendation because they are only going to give you recommendation products they sold. So if they're like Red Bull, they're going to recommend it's a company because it's not what business. So he was talking about like peeling back some of the things like don't complicate your situation by asking them for medicine. Because so. That's like that we have a conflict of interest that if I've got a podcasting course, I think everyone wants to podcast, and that might not be the best solution for them. So we think I should do to be authority, I will say yes. But as a YouTuber, you should start a YouTube channel. I think interview your current internal network is a great way to see externally the vibration that you're giving out, which could be completely different. People were like, one of the wisdom up for me when I've asked this exercise, which they're like, you encourage me. It's like, I don't even know that I'm doing that. I then changed a lot of the around I'm someone who can be the version of yourself. Like that would never come within. And so with an exercise like this, my thought is, how do I outsource this to other people in the my point? That's my matter.
I think that's for my side as well as like the profit. I think that's the way to go in. You power, shifting your power, or shifting your passion based on what someone else be a little bit, and kind of lead you down a that point. You're not seeing what really is going to because you're not in your zone of genius. And
definitely, that's an internal thing. 100% agree with that. But it was more with the profit side of it, like and even to get the buzzwords, like you might describe your passion in one way, but other people, I'd always describe my passion as an educator, but everyone saw it as someone who encourages, So like just changing those words. I'm not passionate. I'm taking from an angle. So an educator, I can be someone who builds on finance, and I'm not people to the end goal. Then it's pretty pointless. There's a lot of work for no actual impact, But I agree that passion has to be something within.
We have 23 minutes. We could do, and if anybody has a discussion or thoughts that come up from maybe MP, this is helping out covering some things. Carol, we've been kind of talking a little bit about some of this stuff already. Is this or any thoughts?
Yeah, I've written down a lot of stuff, and actually everybody's, just talking about it or helping some ideas. And part of what I have like a model that's making profit, right, through my consulting practice. What I'm trying to do is shift into more of the area that I'm passionate about, that I really want to make change in. So, can you make maybe go yours, Josh? Harmony is like at the center of it. If you can combine your passion, your power, and your profit, you will create greater harmony in the world, right?
And that's another thing I forgot to mention is as well. What does that look like? It looks like
impact my outcome, but our communities engaged, creating health, resilient peace, right? It's a sort of harmony like there by simulating, local and regional, that bigger than, solve. So it kind of goes in the directions that he's talking about. Systems thinking, intuition, part of my experience and expertise, basically. And but I think what's unique about what I bring is that very kind of vision focused, and I'm very heart centered and intuitive. So a lot of the things that kind of appear in your circles. Michael is one to group, one to system, heart centered, strategic consulting, planning, facilitation, design. But they're usually interwoven with those other things. But I'm working with systems innovators, visionaries, and change catalysts. I'm already working with the people I work with, but necessarily toward my passion. And I'm working around it, but not directly into it. So when I think about these, sort of intersections, to create these unique mechanisms, that's where, my work is right now. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. What does that look like? And how do I work more who are either positioned to or want to create that transformation in the center through their own catalytic work? Creating with them, or, I'm supporting them, sort of raise the idea of encouraging them. But I know from my own experience working with these kinds of change catalysts, they rely on not just my strategic coaching, but my intuition, my ability to look at a situation and read on it. That picture I can see, able to see it, and look at this multi-dimensional way of looking at things, and that ends up having a lot of people.
I go back to what Ray said, was saying it goes together to see what people are describe it and work towards share what it really is that you're passionate about, so people have no where the people like if not your passion be articulate, right? That can be say, are other people in the passion, what words using, and those types use from other people to get that information. Your passion is in your own describing other people, right? Is you're going to be talking to the same type of talking to a clone of you every so if you're that type of understanding of your passion is, what your power is in a way that their language, but not necessarily where, because you're the one that's going to determine what power is. People can help you. What it is, you got to understand, be able to put pieces of yourself as well. Of course, from that is like describe what. And that's what Carol, we've talked about being the for you over these years, so that you change on genius, that you become closer to this head to Johnson, right? When things have happened, kind of working with this.
Say that as well. Consulting came up. I'm not sure how you feel about that. I think definitely a good space, because it feels like me that have a lot of different areas, and you know, I think a lot of people that stuff as a consultant a little bit of thing, because we put this word consultant as like someone who I don't know, like, you know, I don't know. I just think that the word consulting has gotten a bit of a different meaning now in 2020 than what it was a years ago. A good way to cast the net a little bit wider, and just, you know, work with a couple of projects where you are an advisor, you are a consultant, you are giving like inputs, and then just feeling, oh wow, this really lights me up, or this door, you know, opened up really easy or easier. So you can just kind of make decisions that way. Because I think yeah, I don't know. That was just, I just felt the need to share that, because, you know, I struggled with the word consultant for a very long time as well. And I don't know. And, you know, that those words are ambiguous, but if you're working with enough people in your network where your passion and your power are already there, you know, just having the setup to say, yeah, I'm a consultant and my rate, yeah, for the data kind of set you up on that path of being a speaker. So I agree that like being a speaker and a key person of influence is exhausting, especially if you're flying around the world. But it's also okay to say, look, I can do keynote speaking work, but it's $10,000 a keynote speaker. It's okay to have there as a bit of posture, and say, like, if someone books it, shit, I'll get out of bed for 10 grand, but it's not my ideal product. What I really want to do is $500 a day, $100 a day, like, and just know that. So be surprised, because I've gone this path as well. You know, I'll say, you know, my day rate is $100, that they are going to contest that, and they're like, awesome, we'll book you for 4 days. No, that's not what I would. Crap. Do you know what I mean? But out, you know, like, test this. You know, because, you know, like, if I would, not to brag, but I don't do it. Like, my rate would be $500. Only because if they do it, I'll do it, but I don't want to accept that. That, you know, it's like my voice the other day as I was decluttering, of like when I first built a website 10 years ago, and like I would build like a 10-page website for like $280. I just think like that is crazy. You know? like I wouldn't even do that for 10 now, because I hate web designing so much. You know, and so like it's just really interesting, the journey, and you just pick a price and then position it to someone, and then go, shoot, that was easy to get $500. And now you're doing days worth of consulting work, and that's enough income to keep you sustainable, or even, you know, growing, to then go and do all these other riskier projects. You know, and so that 1 day a week will fund the rest of your week. And that's kind of what happened to me about 18 months ago. I had 2 sets of clients that were paying me like more than what I was earning in a full-time job, doing 16 hours. So I was doing 2 days a week and earning more, which then allowed me to go and play in different sand pits and be a little bit more risky, go on a 7-week holiday, and things like that. But it's not all glamour. I'm not trying to glamorize it. It is hard, and, you know, I've lost some of that work, so it's not always amazing, but it also helps with your net worth to go, shit, I am worth $500 a day. And then, shit, I am worth $800 a day. Damn, I'm worth $1,200 a day. It's very hard to go backwards once you've had a paying client give you that much. You know, so it's more from a mindset point of view. You know, and if you have to start at $50, start at $50. You know, like, just start somewhere, keep up in it, where the resistance point is. Like, grand, you know, there is actually a website you can go and book, you know, telling people to, like, oh, what, 12 grand for 45-minute presentation? Causes that you're being to, I'll be paying people this much.
It's true. Well, what is it? Barack Obama gets this just in those so much by just start calling yourself something. And so when you introduce yourself, I'm also a consultant for social justice, for social justice partnerships, right? And people, oh, really? And then you start diving into that end. Yeah, and you really are right now. You're a consultant, right? You may not be a consultant, but you are. You're consulting, and so when you're going to go through and things, someone's going to, well, how much are you? If you ask in a couple of weeks, because you've been talking to a lot of people, someone's going to say, well, how much is it to process with you? right? Process, and then you ask yourself, what is my process? And you go through that. But sometimes when you just call yourself something, I did that for web design. I called myself a web designer for like a developer, but I could build really nice, Adobe. At the time, there was the Adobe Muse, right? And I was using Muse for these beautiful websites. And I called myself that and realized that I wanted a website, Tinder, anything, right? And I did that in Bozeman. Lots of people get in front of a lot of people, but I still clients and be like, I really don't like this work. I hate this work.
This is the first. This book, I've still got it, is what started my web design journey. I borrowed it from my slide, and I still have it as nostalgia. This is what gave me the ability to learn my first HTML code. When did I borrow this book? In 2003.
I took a small course, is what I did. That's what I did. I took a course because I always do that.
There was in Australia, there was no small courses in 2003.
Yeah.
And I learned very quickly too that I hate coding. But unless I tried it, and that's the whole point, like unless you start consulting, you may hate it. The reason why I like consulting, and I do need to run soon, so I'll finish on this note, sorry guys, is that when you hire a consultant, they normally have a team of executors, so you don't have to do. And that was one big distinction that I found, is that I like, it's very hard to come up with really good ideas when you have to actually execute the ideas. And so if you're not supported with a team, and one of the conditions I put in place when I was consulting started consulting 18 months ago, is that I only worked with people who had a team of 3 or more people. Because if they were a solopreneur or their own business, it's amazing to have a whiteboard session. You're like, yes, we're going to do this. And it's like, good, so who's going to do it? And it's crickets. And it's like, so it's all of a waste of effort. So ideas are great, but execution is really where the power's at. So if you don't want to become deflated, because that's what happened to me, because I was coming up with all these amazing ideas, and then it got to a point, and this is kind of the mistake I made in Farming Secrets as well, is I got involved as the executor. So it's like, let's do this promo. Awesome. Now I'm like writing copy and building the landing page and And that was good from a learning point of view. And going, right now I need to delegate these tasks out. So it helped me find who was going to do that. But it's very hard to turn on your creative side of your mind when there's a voice going, shit, if I have this really good idea, I'm going to have to execute that. You know what? I just won't tell them that idea. And you'll be very surprised how much that happens. So my thought is, like, have parameters or boundaries around the ideal client you want to work with, because there's nothing more frustrating than everyone going, this is an amazing idea, this is the best idea we've ever heard, and then it never comes to light. And you think, God, what's the point of me even giving all this advice? So having,
I'm sure Carol could talk to that same point too, just to kind of back up what Ray's saying. But I know she just barely left, but So on that scope creep is the word that's is often used for exactly what Ray's saying, because you'll have these amazing ideas that you want to play around with, but you can easily get yourself out of your ability to do something. And that's why I think these hedgehog concepts are great for focusing tools. And sometimes they're a little nebulous and it takes a little bit of work. But if I start nailing this down and I keep on figuring out what my passion is, checking in and seeing what my power, if I'm working within my power, and you use this almost as a filter after you've done it enough, this will start to focus in enough, right? And that's another way to use this, right? After the fact that you've done this, like, this is a focusing tool for me. As I come into a work, is it aligning in these areas, right? And I don't get as much scope creep. Just me doing that, right? I don't take on projects that I'm not, that aren't in these realm. I shouldn't say that. I still do, because sometimes you just need to feed your economic engine, right? But you're doing less of that, and I have been doing less of that. I quit my branding agency.
I gotta go. Sorry, guys.
Good to talk with you, Ray. Good having you.
Yep, likewise. See you next week. Bye.
Mary, I know you haven't talked much, but I hope you're getting a lot from this. And I know there's a lot to unpack here. Last 4 minutes, I just want to mention we don't have anybody for next week for the MOKR Mastermind. So if you are wanting to do that, if you're feeling called to do that, definitely sign up. And I am here to help you get on there if you have some hesitant time. Like, if you've gone through all the videos, MP, you've gone through all the videos, we've met, we've talked, let's have a time that we can talk on the side and maybe just figure out what your MOKR is, right? And I can help you through that if that's something that you want to do. I'm free to take that time with you, right? We can schedule that. Same with you, Mary. I would say get through the material if you haven't already of like what's already been said. But if you're still having a hard time and want to set up a time for you and I to talk so that you can get going on your MOKR, let's do that, because I think it's going to move you guys. So you're going to go really, really quick once you start framing this stuff out and get to work on it.
Okay. That's a nice offer. I'm away again for Saturday to going to Salt Spring again for a short time. I don't know what Mary can go next. But that's such a nice offer. I think it would help me move along better if we just started it together or something, or yeah, if you had time to do that. Yeah, things are I'm more clear. I think it's better as it goes along. Like if I had done it before, it would have been sort of a waste because it's changed so much, like from a few weeks what my idea has been, but now it's getting more concrete. Like I feel like it's not going to change that much more.
I don't think it will ever be a waste, because what you would have did is you would have did so much more pivot just in doing the process. Like you probably would have come up with some of those like it changes earlier is what I'm thinking, right?
That's true, maybe.
But anyways, regardless, let's talk more about this. Let's have you guys sign up if you want to. But for next time, if we don't have anybody, what we're going to do is we're going to do more of the meet and greet, to talk more about the MOKR, and then offers and because we don't have a specific topic. This was good because I was hoping that it would help us focus ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And if there's any other topics that you guys are thinking of that you're needing help with, challenges, I'm starting to try and recognize what those are beforehand, so that we can do something like this, like just a mastermind on our hedgehog concept. We can do a mastermind on other subject matter pieces as well.
But even every time I come in for Mary and Allison, who may or may not be there, there's always some insight that I gain anyway, like whether or not we're just having this informal thing or we do the MOKRs, there's always like, so like just always helps clear up, my idea, stuff I'm struggling with. It's cool. It's pretty cool. Like there's always something I take out of it. I get it.
Good. Thanks for the promo there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining, and hope to see you. It's good to see you.
Bye.
You too. Talk to you later.